Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Terri Morrow and I'm here with Catherine Halecko. Say hi, Catherine.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast we talk about parenting issues, but once a week Catherine and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week, we have an episode of The West Wing after a brief break, and a challenge round movie. But first, we finished season 1 of One Day at a Time with the last 3 episodes, which were episode 11, Pride and Prejudice, episode 12, Hurricane Victor, and episode 13, Quinces, which I may be pronouncing incorrectly. But what did you think of these last 3 episodes? And I guess from there we can go on to the season as a whole. But how did you like these last 3 episodes, Catherine?
Well, I especially like the Quinces one, the season finale, because it just had it was funny, but it was also very warm and touching, and but it was definitely very funny in a lot of parts, and there's a part in the middle where, you know, Penelope is just running herself completely ragged trying to do this party. Yeah. And, you know, if you've ever had a wedding or a bar mitzvah or anything, you can totally relate. And she goes into her room and gets on the bed and she's going to work on the seating chart. Oh, yeah. And you can see the clock. And it says 9:30. I'm like, well, that's clearly important. Like, that is going to be relevant. And, of course, next thing you know, she wakes up and it's 10 o'clock the next morning. And that panic that initially sets in is very relatable. But,
I mean, she needed to have time to double-side tape herself into that dress.
Right.
These things take time.
But the sweet part is that her son has taken charge.
Yeah.
Everything is fine.
That was very sweet. I liked that episode a lot. It was very sweet. And it also had what I have found now is my necessary ingredient for a above par One Day at a Time episode, which is Stephen Tobolowsky. He was not in the first 2, and I was missing him. And then there he was, being adorable and just put it over the top. So yeah, I liked that one best too. And of course, that scene at the end where the dad is not there for the father-daughter dance. And then the mom goes up to dance with her, and then the brother, and then the grandma, and then Schneider, and then the doctor. And it's just it's a very sweet ending to the season. And certainly not something you've never seen on a sitcom before. You know, there's been many, many variations on that same sort of thing. But it's still very sweet in this context. And, you know, and the fact that the grandma gave her a dress, gave her an outfit that she really was comfortable with and that really made her cry was very sweat. And everything about it was just sort of nice, except for the father being a jackass. But that was not entirely unpredictable. It could have gone one of two ways. Either that way, or he just comes to see the error of his ways and is sweet. So since presumably he's not going to be around as a regular, I guess that was the way it had to go. The contract negotiations didn't work out, and Victor's on the next train out.
Yeah, he's on 1.5 episodes, and that's it.
That's right. So, bye-bye. I felt bad, though, that she broke up with the other guy. It's like, could you call him back and say, you know what?
Call him back and be like, never mind.
I thought maybe Grandma would have him there at the party or something. But I looked up on IMDb, and that actor is not on a season 2 episode. So, boo.
I
would have just called him back and said, you know what? I was wrong. My ex-husband is indeed a jerk.
Right.
You want to go out tomorrow?
I'm available.
But, yeah. So, the other 2 episodes were fine. They were in the fine category. But the Tobolowsky factor lifted the 3rd one. And everything else. It was just a very sweet episode. And the other 2 were getting us there. So, I enjoyed all of Carmen's appearances, both via Skype and in person. Looking all sweet and nicely dressed and freshly scrubbed, but still refusing to smile.
Yes.
That is a fun character. Yes. Also
in small doses.
Yes, exactly. Used very, very wisely.
Right.
So, although it wasn't one of my favorites of the three, the taking the kids to the baseball and having them be all difficult to handle, predictable.
For Schneider, yeah.
Yes.
Although I did have
Sucker, don't leave the room. No. Every mother everywhere is calling, no! It's a trick! Take your keys!
Send them to get the ice.
Oh, well.
I did have, logistical concerns because they made it seem like it was, the next day that, he gets an email, I'm on the travel team, and then, the next day he's going on this trip. That's not how it works. Just so you know.
I did wonder about that. Yeah. They needed a clock to show us how many days had gone by between things.
I mean, trust me, I know all these things,
yes, you do.
Months in advance. And you have to get the hotel, you can't just... show up.
First, Schneider would have had to be in charge of finding a restaurant that the bus could stop at on the way.
OMG. Flashback time. So.
Catherine's having a little bit of PTSD at the thought.
Yes. I will need a support group when I'm done, like Penelope. So, yeah.
So, anyway, how did you feel about the first season as a whole? Happy to have watched it?
Yeah.
Felt it hung together well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I think it hung together well. It certainly had, some that were more enjoyable than others, but yeah, I was glad that we watched it.
Yeah, I think I leave the season as I started it saying that Justina Machado and Rita Moreno are the reason, worth the price of admission.
Mm-hmm.
The two of them are fantastic.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is just sort of giving them a place to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And, other than my, doses of Stephen Tobolowsky. But the rest of it is not up to their level, but it doesn't need to be because they can carry it.
They can do it.
Effortlessly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I very much enjoyed Justina Machado's ramping up to hysteria. She has done in many episodes.
Right. Another thing that you can kind of relate to. Right?
I know that. I see where you're going there, sweetie.
Right.
I feel you. So, yeah, that's a lot of fun.
And what was she in before?
I guess she was in 6 Feet Under, I read.
Oh, okay.
But let's just IMDb her, shall we, as we speak?
Maybe Jane the Virgin, which I haven't watched.
Yeah, I haven't watched either. Well, put that on the list for futures.
Yeah.
Let's see. What have you been? Well, it says six Feet Under is her main credit as far as IMDb is concerned. But let's see what else they have for her.
Like there was something else.
Yeah, I do too.
Something that I hadn't necessarily
you are
watched.
correct. Jane the Virgin.
Okay.
And also Elena of Avalar. Follow Me.
A Disney princess.
The all-important
situation.
Gears of War 4. Queen of the South. Heartbeat. Quit. Devious Maids. 2 episodes.
Oh.
Various single episodes of things. The Fosters. Murder Police.
Wow.
That's sort of redundant. Private Practice she was on. She has quite the little resume here. Desperate Housewives, a couple episodes. Switch at Birth, a couple episodes. ER. Okay. So she's been around.
She's been busy.
Yes. But she is fantastic in this. And what a showcase it is for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so on we go to season 2 now.
Right.
Which, thanks to your accidentally watching episode 1 of season 2, I am now dreading episode 1 of season 2. But I assume that 2 or 3 episodes in, I'll be able to put the hard hat away and laugh again. Yeah. I hope. Yeah. So
I hope so. I mean, I don't know. I've only watched that one. But.
That one that Netflix was very, very determined to get you to watch. You have to go through all these hoops to go back to season 1.
You really do.
Says, no, it's season 2 now.
Right.
Catch up.
You should be done with this by now. Where have you been?
If you don't pay attention, we're gonna act like we're gonna play you where you left off, but no. So, and it has actually not been renewed for a season 3 yet. So, if you like us have enjoyed the first season or the second season also, watch. What I hear is watching a whole bunch of episodes of it will help it get considered to be brought back.
Should keep going.
Writing Netflix a nasty note, I guess, could never hurt. But
it works for Sandbox.
Yep. They've spent a great deal of money on other things, and I suppose there is some concern that they will decide that 2 seasons of this is just groovy. But I'm certainly ready for more. I've got another season ahead, but it would be nice if it kept going. I think all those people deserve to keep working.
Yes.
So now we move on to The West Wing, which we're having kind of a love-hate relationship with the West Wing Weekly podcast in that they keep taking breaks, and we do not like thinking we're watching something and saying we're going to watch something and then not being able to watch it because we like to sync up with them. So they took a week off, or we've decided to be a week behind them. So we didn't watch anything last week when they did Red Haven's on Fire. We're doing Red Haven's on Fire this week. They say they're doing Privateers next week. We're going to take a week off just in case.
They are on probation. They're on a 1 week tape delay.
They are on absolutely a tape delay. So this week we watched Red Haven's on Fire and listened to last week's West Wing Weekly podcast about it, which included a West Wing writer named Lauren talking about the many Laurens working on the interns working for Will Bailey. And also Tammy Duckworth, who is a senator who is now pregnant, talking about being a pregnant senator, although it had absolutely no particular relation to Andy. But that was the I guess, to have the chat with her. So it was interesting. Interesting chat.
It was. Yeah, I thought that this episode, the guests were particularly good. You know, Tammy Duckworth, like you said, it wasn't really, she wasn't talking about, you know, having her husband get in fights in a bar over her pregnancy.
That would have been an interesting interview.
Yeah, but it was still interesting to hear from her. And then the writer who started out as an assistant, and then she was a researcher, and then she was a writer.
She had good stories.
Great. There was so much, you know, back behind the scenes is what I'm trying to say. Yes. So much behind the scenes stuff in that conversation. That was very fun. That was great.
Yeah, and she had good rapport with them also, I thought. So, yeah, that was really fun. I liked all the different stories she told about how things are done. And she got sued for having said something bad about, was it Texas or Florida or some...
No, it was
some
Turkey.
State. It was Turkey. That's right. It was Turkey.
Turkey. She's like, I'm 23.
Has had them tied up in litigation for years now. But yeah, that was funny. So yeah, it was good. Very good episode of the West Wing Weekly. Glad they, you know, graced us with it. Yes. And who knows when again. And the episode, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's too bad that it was Rob Lowe's final episode. And
it was pretty underwhelming for him.
Really underwhelming for him, and not, you know, no fanfare, no goodbye.
Yes.
For him.
Well, that may have been the way they felt about him at that point. Yeah. I don't know what exactly went on. But yeah, that was sort of unfortunate. And I did like the Amy Gardner portions. Both the putting down of the person who's trying to railroad Abby. I just wanted you to walk me across the room.
Right.
But she was wonderful. And then you see the wheels turning, and then she's the one who outsmarts Josh without him even realizing it happened. And his dawning realization that he needs to hear the rest of the facts. Who would know this about me?
Right.
Oh, no. And the way she just sort of dropped various details of it into the facts, among other things.
Right, and the weather.
Yes. It's like she knows.
In Southern
so it's
California.
like... It's as Donna said, we have a whole new thing or game or something.
A whole new chapter.
A whole new chapter, yes. So that I enjoyed that.
Yes,
not so much her setting fire to the table, because come on. But but I mean, the whole thing in Kindu is just so fraught with disaster. It's like whatever it's, you know, I really hate on these procedural shows I watch. I hate when the villain is always one step ahead of our heroes and seems omniscient and omnipowerful and you know, well, you know, and always everything they do, some tragedy happens in response to it. I'm beginning to get that feeling about Kundu. You know, this place does not seem like they should be able to be 2 steps ahead of the U.S. in everything. You know, beat them already. Come on. How hard can it be? You do this thing, they do that thing. You save your guys, they kill a bunch more. It's just, you know. Yeah. I don't like that. That's on my entertainment don't list. So
right. Yes, please.
That's hard to watch these episodes, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But, I don't know. And the whole with the family members hanging out there in the room, and I was twitching to fast forward so many times. Can't we go back to California?
Right. Toby, have you ever been on a beach in your life? No.
CJ was in a fine mood, you know?
Yes, with her song.
She was just, feeling California, I guess. I don't know. She was in a good mood. She was glad not to be back in Washington where all this disaster was happening. But I did sort of enjoy Leo putting down Lady who was being all pissy about the Bartletts. But why, as a matter of fact,
yes,
I was in a war. Yeah, but that whole thing was just, I don't know. I could have done without it. But I'm still counting down to one of my favorite episodes of this season, which is Evidence of Things Not Seen, which I hope they get to before they take their long break. So the rest of these are just kind of, are we there yet?
Marking time for you.
So next week, we are not going to watch an episode.
Right.
Just because we want to keep our tape delay in. But we'll talk later about what we're going to do in place of that.
Okay.
Is there anything else you wanted to say about that West Wing episode or weekly?
I don't think so. I think we can move on.
I think I do agree. We interrupt this podcast to remind you to please consider the free Radio Public app for all your Parenting Roundabout listening needs. If you listen to our podcast on the app, we'll get paid a little for each listen and more if you listen a lot.
It's a great way to financially support our podcast without having to actually spend, money. Now on to our challenge round.
So this week for the challenge round, I had you watch Ocean's 11, which you were not sure you had watched. Do you remember it now, or had you indeed not watched it?
I didn't. I haven't.
Okay. So all the little fake outs that they did, you did not see coming and you did not realize what was going on?
Mostly not, no.
Good. Because I was watching it and thinking, there's a lot of stuff here that's really best the first time you see it. So afterwards, here's where they tricked them into thinking that Danny is out. And here's where they did this. And it's, you don't really know that Saul is, they seem to make it look like Saul is going to have a heart attack for real, but he's just practicing to have it for fake.
Definitely thought I was worried about Saul until
you saw Brad Pitt
turning up as the doctor. And it's funny to me how the two guys from Utah, like the drivers that they hire, that are always fighting, bickering with each other, and how they just keep turning up. And now they're the EMTs. Yes. Oh, now they work for the casino. Oh, now
nobody notices that it's the same guys every time. They're that nondescript. It was so funny seeing this now because Scott Conn, who's one of those guys from Utah, has pretty much the same persona on Hawaii Five-0 now, bickering with Alex O'Loughlin as Stephen Garrett. And he's Danny and Danny Williams. And the two of them are just constantly bickering. And watching this movie, it's like, he's the same character. He moved out of Utah. He became a cop in New Jersey, and then he went to Hawaii. Yep, okay.
Still doing it.
Changed his name, because it's just exactly the same. This must be his shtick. He must have on his resume. Very good at bickering with another guy.
Very good at annoying other people with my bickering.
You could have just switched out Casey Affleck for Alex O'Loughlin, and it would have been the exact same dialogue.
Right.
But so that was funny. Yeah, I was noticing that too. How many times they popped up. I think they deserve a little more of a cut than everybody else because they had to play like 20 different characters.
But I also I didn't trust them. I thought they were going to blow it every time because they just seemed kind of
yes.
ditzy or something.
Yes.
Like I was definitely not trusting that they could pull it off.
Yeah. I was kind of wondered about it. I think I wondered at the time, and I wonder every time I see it, shouldn't they have had some counterfeit money that they could blow up so that Benedict doesn't really even realize that the money's still out there? Because that seems like that was the whole thing, that they were going to rob him without him really, knowing that anybody had the money.
Right.
And yet when they use the flyers, that's pretty good for letting him know that he has had, but it means that he knows somebody's out there with his money. And he's going to hunt them down through like 2 sequels.
Right.
So I guess that's why they needed it, but that always bothered me. I always thought that maybe the Utah guys did that and that was their screwing up. They were supposed to have put actual money in. I don't know. I think it was supposed to be that way, but it's so fun with so many little twists and turns.
Yes.
And fake outs here and there, and brought things going wrong, and Don Cheadle with a Cockney accent,
and trying to use his Cockney slang, and they can never understand what in the world he's talking about.
Yeah, and Elliot Gould and Carl Reiner being old school great.
Yes.
And and Matt Damon is sort of the odd man out. Who is
Linus. Yeah, it's fun.
Yes.
That's definitely
It's
the
very
kind
fun.
of action movie I like, where it's on, speaking of how things are categorized on Netflix, it's action comedy, it says.
Yes.
And there's like basically almost no blood. Nobody really gets killed or hurt.
Right.
It's just all about, can we outsmart these people, and can we pull this off? So
yeah, and it's so stylish and great looking, and the way it's got Steven Soderbergh directed it, who's an indie guy, and it's just so fun to watch and look at. It was really fun watching it again. I love that scene at the end when they all gather at the fountain. And we played that piece of music once in community band, and I'm like, this is from the horrible scene in Ocean's 11. And people are kind of looking at me. Some of them went, oh yeah, and some of them went, huh?
Right.
But it's like, I had to run home and watch the scene on YouTube because I just thought of that so strongly.
Right.
They all kind of just nod to each other and fade off into the night. Presumably to pick up at some point their enormous wad of cash, but
yeah,
they didn't look like they each had, a few million in their pockets at that point in time. But
I did think that when they were pulling their fake SWAT team van into like a random garage, like they should have had like a big magnetic piece of black covering so that they could just slap on the hood and cover up the letters. So that it wouldn't, because they turned off the lights, but just to make them a little less conspicuous when they were getting away. So
that was so fun though, that reveal that's how they'd gotten the money out.
Yes,
the SWAT guys. Very fun.
Yes.
Very fun. I don't know if I bought anything about Julia Roberts in the entire thing, but
I wouldn't buy that she would take him back. And that she would be into Benedict because he's kind of a sneeze.
No, yes. Yeah. It's like they got one girl in the entire thing, and
then I did, like I said, I told you, I went ahead and watched Ocean's 12.
Yeah, I kind of want to just leave them the way they were. I want to leave them walking away from the fountain. I don't want to know what happened from them.
Well, the reason why
he comes after them, right?
Well, the reason why I watched it was because at the end of 11, they show Clooney coming out of prison, just like at the beginning, and Brad Pitt is there to pick him up, and Julia Roberts is there. But then you see Benedict's 2 goons following them in the car, and I was like, oh man, now I gotta know what happened. And since I know this is right here on Netflix,
too easy.
It was way too easy, so I just watched it.
Yeah.
And it was
how was it?
It was even more like complicated than this one was.
Was Cherry Jones in that one as Linus's mom?
Briefly.
Or was that the third one?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And Catherine Zeta-Jones is in it as another female. And Julia Roberts. who is playing Tess, who at one point has to impersonate Julia Roberts, like the real Julia Roberts.
Just because they're goofing.
Right.
They're just goofing.
So,
did you enjoy the little credit for her introducing Julia Roberts as Tess in the credits?
Oh, I missed that.
Did you watch the credits?
I did
so
watch
you just went on to the next thing.
Well, no, I had them on. I must have not been looking at the screen.
Yeah, she gets the last credit introducing.
Oh, that's funny.
Very cute. Yeah.
Yeah, I preferred 11 to 12.
Yes, as is usually the way. But I am going to check out 8 when it comes.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Because that looks like it would be fun. And then they should have one poorly served actor playing Sandra Bullock's boyfriend. Dating an inappropriate woman. And saved from her at the end.
Right.
Anyway, so what are you challenging me to watch next week after I have introduced you to this classic of fun caper cinema?
Right.
What delightful bit of cinematic entertainment do you have for me?
Okay, well, on Netflix, there is a movie called The Polka King, starring Jack Black as said Polka King.
All right.
And it is goofy, and it is a little bit dark, like what we're talking about. This was an action comedy. Ocean's 11 was billed as an action comedy. This one is billed as I believe, a dark comedy. It is a dark comedy because he is a criminal. So yeah, he should not be not be doing what he's doing.
Shame on him.
However, I thought it was fun. It was just one of those. My husband was clicking around, and he's like, "Oh, let's just turn this on." And also, it's set in Northeast Pennsylvania, where my husband is from. And also, his grandmother used to faithfully watch the polkas on TV every Saturday night. So that's part of what made it fun. So we are going to watch that.
We're going to watch that. And you are also going to watch something this week and discuss it in place of our West Wing, usual West Wing slot. Yeah. What is it that you are going to see?
Tonya. The skating movie.
So though we will not be watching West Wing, we will still be talking about Alice and Janney. Right. So we have to fill in with appropriate things.
Yep. So that's what we're going to do.
All righty. We will do those, and we will watch the first 2 episodes of One Day at a Time, Season 2. And that is going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you'll find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terri.
Goodbye, everybody.